Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rock Your Best Life podcast. With me today, I have the beautiful and radiant Emily Penton, and she has joined me once again. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. And I know that we have grown to be really good friends over the last year. And I really value your friendship, and I've loved to see you grow as a person and with your inner clarity system. And it's such a gift to have you in my life.
I feel the same way. There's some people who cross your path and you're like, oh, that's why she's here. And so it was very obvious from like day one for you and me.
Yes. And for people that are not familiar with you and your work and your story, I know that, they can go back and listen to the episode that we did, which was episode number 30, Beating Bipolar and MS, to listen to your full story. But would you give us a little quick recap and tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah. I realized kind of just by trial and error and just by happenstance that my mental illness was being affected by my food, and I was eating sugar and processed foods, nothing healthy at all. And I switched to eating whole foods. And when I switched to eating whole foods and I prioritized animal fat, I resolved my symptoms of bipolar disorder and multiple sclerosis. And it wasn't just like I kind of had either one of them. Like one of them, I was out of work for 6 months and basically homeless. I had to move in with my mom. And with the MS, I couldn't walk without an assistive device. And so it's a complete miracle that those things just resolved. I've been off all psych meds for 3 years now. Never went back to the psych ward, never even had a bad day. I just have this unending well of joy that just flows out of my spirit as long as I just stay on this path.
And I love it. And your spirit and your energy is so contagious. I see you affecting other people in a positive way. And it's amazing to watch.
Thank you. It's so fun. It's so fun, because I got into this originally to help people as a therapist. Mm-hmm. And then, but it just wasn't working. It was just like Groundhog Day. Like they'd come talk to me about their depression. And then the next week we'd talk about the same depression. And then the next week. And I wasn't seeing anything move. Now I get to see complete transformations right before my eyes. And it is so fun to just watch people, literally go from the pit of mental illness, hell, and misery to, I got this and I'm thriving and knocking it out of the park. So fun.
Yes. And I want to know, like, how has your, your journey grown with your diet and with lifestyle? How has that kind of evolved over this last year? Because I know you found, your inner clarity through removing, all these foods and then really eating a meat only diet. But how has that evolved in the last year for you?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's foundational to remove the sugar and the processed food, because we don't even realize how much that is causing more inflammation in our brain, and our thoughts are not clear. But then I noticed once our thoughts were clear, there was even more of a layer of work that we could do. Because when you're paralyzed and you're literally in survival mode and you're just surviving every day, that's not living. But then once you get to a place where you're like, okay, like I'm good, I'm stable, then there's other work to be done with releasing trapped emotions. And that has taken everything to another level with my practice.
Yes. And I want to talk about that today too, if you wouldn't mind, because I know that I have been working with you a little bit and I have already had some really great things happen for me. But that's really important that we talk about, is that it's not just about the diet. there are all these things that our body holds on to, like trapped emotions that could really be affecting everyday decisions, our confidence, everything, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even I've found even your absorption of your proper absorption and utilization. And so you could be sitting here eating all the right things, and your body is distorted from an imbalance, from a trapped emotion from 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And you're literally not able to process the foods that you're putting in your body. I know it sounds crazy, but I've seen it happen. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't need to know how. I just need to know that it works and it's working. So
And how did you get into this work with trapped
um
emotions? How did you happen upon this? I guess stumble upon it.
yeah, well, somebody messaged me in my private messages on Instagram 2 years ago. It was no, it was 3 years ago. It was 2019. And said, I want to do a complimentary emotion code session on you. And I get messages like that a lot of, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I'm just like, no, 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 no. And there was something about this girl. And I just was like, yes, yes. I don't know why, but yes. And so we scheduled an appointment. And for me, it was important that it wasn't just this woo-woo, weird new age thing.
Mhm.
It was, she prayed to God. And so for me personally, with my point of reference and my upbringing, that was important to me. And so we started working together. And at first it was just like an extra thing, like, oh, I'll put it in my budget, like for me to like get my nails done or go get a massage or get my hair done. It was an extra luxury. And
Mhm.
then I had an absolute tragedy hit my family in the beginning of 2020 when the whole rest of the world was going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and I reached out to her and I said, okay, I wanted to work with you and now I need to work with you. I am not going to get through this. I was so filled with rage and hate and anger. And I was just like, this is not okay. This is not healthy. And so she needed to release those trapped emotions from me. And we continued working together, up until now. Now I do it on my own now, but I still have her in my back pocket for like difficult scenarios, like troubleshooting. But so her name is Selena Rubio. She is Radiant Life Coding. And I learned all that I know from her. And there is a book called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson.
Yes. And I have read the book. It's amazing. Well, I've listened to the book, I guess.
Same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so funny because I actually have watched, documentaries and things like with that author, and I didn't make the connection before. I guess like you have to really like listen to things, hear things over and over until it's like, oh yeah. Yeah, but so are you using the emotion code yet, like in your practice,
Um,
with your inner clarity systems, or how does that work?
yeah, actually, that's the only way that I will use it.
Mm,
Is if I already have an established rapport or relationship with somebody. And I don't do it for hire.
mhm.
If you want just like a one-time session, go to Selena. Selena is like leagues ahead of me. I am not certified in this. And so therefore I don't offer it as I am an emotion code practitioner
Yeah,
because I'm not. I use it as a tool because he says in the book, you can buy the book and you can read the book and you can do it yourself. And so I just use it as an added tool in my practice. And I only do it with the people who hire me for the 8-week system.
yes, yeah, and I saw that you just kind of released like a new video or a new system, a new program, I guess. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about your program and how people can work with you if they need you?
Yeah, it was really important to me that I was accessible to people wherever they're at, and that so I can meet them where they're at. And so for the really, really tough cases of people who are just, they're trying and trying and trying and failing and failing and failing. And it's almost like they're paralyzed or stuck, either with a mental illness or an eating disorder, or, any number of things. I have an 8-week system where I literally, you have daily access to me. And that is $6,500. And it's so intense, the work that I do. And I don't know if you're familiar with Marco Polo, um, or I don't know if your viewers are familiar. I know you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But it's a video app. And so I have access, they have access to me. Literally, if they want to send me a Marco Polo at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to get it until the next day. I'm not going to respond to it until I have time, but they can put a pin in it. They can deposit that information and just go, okay, I know when Emily has time, Emily is going to hear this. And so I found that that's what helps people not feel alone on this journey. And to kind of like have that accountability as well, to know that if I don't hear from them for a couple of days, I'm going to ask them, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? I haven't heard from you in a couple of days. And so some people really do need that tether and that connection. And then I have, for the 8 weeks, you can do the weekly group meetings. And that's kind of the same thing as the the other 8 weeks, the individual care, except for I'm not going to be responding to you, and you're not going to have access to me on Marco Polo, and that's $1,800. But you're still going to have those emails that I send out that are those prompts to really get you thinking. And then there's the free Saturday food support group.
Yeah.
And you can find that on emilypenton.com. And you'll just find the link there. And we meet every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we record it. So even if you can't make it to the live meeting, on that link in emilypenton.com, go to my YouTube and you can see all of the replays. We've been doing this since Christmas Day of 2021. So every Saturday, and it's real people that just come into the meeting and raise their hand and ask a question or share their update. And then of course you can, find me on social media and stuff. So there's the whole spectrum. There's $6,500, there's $1,800, and then there's free, So the best way to get a hold of me is to schedule a clarity call, and those are $111, but I deliver every time. Like, we are going to go into whatever your situation is and find clarity on that situation so that we can assess, because some people don't need to work with me for 8 weeks. Some people just need a little bit of clarity in that moment. And some people need to really assess the problem that they have and that they need to come for the 8 weeks.
Yes. And it's all of that is just so worth it. I mean, for your mental health, right? And your physical health, it's all connected. And we do need that support, is something that I've learned. Is that, it's really hard to do it alone. And when we do it alone, a lot of times we won't get the full benefit, or we will stumble here and there. And we feel so alone,
Yeah.
sometimes. But I found the Saturday support group really helps me a lot. When I need a little, support. And sometimes it could help to just listen to other people's stories, tips, and just to have a place that you can go to even just vent or just like get some support. Exactly what it is.
Yeah. Because honestly, nobody in society, nobody's really talking about this. Nobody, they're just on every corner pushing the sugar, pushing the processed food, pushing the meds and going, yeah, it's okay, it's all right, pushing the alcohol. It's okay. You deserve this. You worked all week. You deserve to go to the bar and get blitzed out of your mind and recover the whole weekend for it. I mean, that's just the conversation. That's the hamster wheel that all of society is stuck in. And so when you stand up and go, I'm gonna get off the hamster wheel, you are very alone. You
Yeah.
are very alone. That is not the normal. And so who do you think you are? Come to the Saturday Food Support Group and you'll find your people.
Yes. I mean, and that's something that I experienced, I was searching and searching, even in, we all have different, we all come to the table, I guess, with the different things that we're working on, but sometimes it's really all the same with addiction, food addiction, alcohol, drug. It's just a different drug, right?
Yeah, it is.
And
And
I've been in I've tried to join like different, Alcoholics Anonymous groups, and I found I just felt like wherever I went, I didn't fit in, you know. We're the misfits, I guess.
yes, I love it. I love it. But we are all welcome. I mean, there's not been one meeting that we've had that I could have cried. I mean, it
Oh
feels
yeah.
so good, the unity and the connection that's there. And everybody shows up. I don't even advertise these meetings very often, and people it's on their calendar and they show up to that meeting.
Yes, and I show up when I can.
Yes, yes.
And I just find that it really does help like so much, to have a community, and to be able to come to it when you need it,
Yeah. Yeah. If I could figure out how to release trapped emotions in the group, I would,
Oh,
but I don't know how to do that
that
yet.
would be a lot of work. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe someday, when you're certified, maybe you can do a workshop or something.
Yeah.
That might be a good idea. I would definitely come to that.
Okay. Okay. That's a good idea.
And I have just seen your confidence grow,
Mm,
and so that's what I want to ask you about is, along the way, I know a lot of people that start even just, a different lifestyle, like a keto journey or a carnivore journey, a different way of eating. Um, it's like that's the beginning for them, right? But and this is why I never wanted to identify as keto or carnivore, because I know I'm ever changing, ever growing, and I know my audience is too. We all discover different things along the way. And so, how did that happen for you? How did you gain more confidence and kind of be so brave and bold to step outside of the box?
it really came down to results. For me, I knew what batshit crazy was. And whenever that fell away from me and wasn't my reality anymore, it was just like, I know. The confidence that came out of me was not, I think. It was such a complete contrast. I mean, it was just like complete insanity and complete stability. And so it wasn't like, I think that maybe my food choice had this result. It was like absolute. And so then it happened to me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is just me. And I thought, that's cool. And then I started speaking out about my story. And then I had hundreds, thousands of people sending me messages that going, I listened to your video. I did what you said. I had the same results. And I'm like, what? This is repeatable? Like, this is happening for other people? Okay, there's something here. And then now, I mean, it's just time after time. Every single client that I've had, they notice a significant difference whenever they stop eating sugar and processed food. And it doesn't just stop there. That's just the foundation.
Mhm.
Then it goes into more of a spiritual clarity, and a spiritual mindset. But it's like they couldn't get to that level whenever they were just chock full of sugar and processed foods. It's like they were too gunked up to even feel or experience things in clarity in their spiritual life until they cleaned out their physical body.
Yes. And I think that's so important for people to kind of get. is that, we are all kind of being lied to about our food, right? Not kind of, we are.
We are.
We are being lied to. And there's, no matter what the reason is, it doesn't matter what the reason, but the thing is, the one thing that you can choose is what you put in your mouth. Nobody is forcing you, even though they are trying to influence you, and they're succeeding, but you can break away and you can have that inner clarity, and peace of mind. And then along the way, you can also heal your body, your mind, and you could connect with your spirit, whatever that looks like for you. You being able to connect to you, that is the big thing.
And I think what's so cool is that once you do connect with your spirit, you learn that voice and you recognize that's my voice. That's me. That's the real me. And then you recognize the lies and you're like, oh, that I'm useless and worthless and hopeless. That's a lie. That's not me. And so really you get down to a place in your spiritual walk where you're just sorting and you're just going, that's me. That's not me. That's me. That's not me. That's me. That's not me. And that's all you have to do. And the lies fall away. It's like they shrivel up and they starve and they go, oh, she's not believing us anymore. Okay, we're going to go away. And then what you believe is the true you, your inner clarity. And then that's what shines. And that's what now I am this crazy, like unending wellspring of joy and an inspiration. And it's not me. It's that inner clarity I just cleared the pipes.
Yes, I know. You got to clear. It's like this flow, right? Is what I've learned. And it starts with the food but that's just the foundation. And then we continue it with our lifestyle, like for me, like getting out in nature, and being connected to people like you, to community, relationships. It's all kind of this big circle, right?
Yes, it's all connected. It all is. And yeah, that was a huge part of my journey was getting outside barefoot with the sun in my eyes. I had no idea how powerful that was. And it really like literally reshaped my mind. And opened up neural pathways that I didn't even know were blocked. And so I know I wouldn't have gotten here if I hadn't started there.
Oh, yes, yes, I know. And it's like these little things that we do along the way, because, a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I can't do all those things at once. And I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to do all those things, right? In one day, right? You don't have to change your whole diet. You don't have to, get outside and look at the sun. And I got to look at the sun and I've got to wear my blue blockers and I got to, just take it one day at a time.
My favorite was this guy who came to me and he was like, okay, I have 9 diet sodas a day and, you got to help me. And I was like, okay. And he was like ready for this like food plan and like, strategy and everything. And I was like, okay, what does it feel like to think about maybe tomorrow having 8 diet sodas? And he was like, no. He was like, that's poison. I got to get it out of my system. I got to stop. And I go, all right, go ahead. You tried that before, right? How'd that work? Well, I couldn't do it. Okay, so let's start what you can do. Can you have 8 sodas tomorrow? And he was like, yeah, I could have 8 sodas tomorrow. And I'm like, let's go there. And so we were there for like a week. And then I said, do you think that maybe tomorrow you could go to 7 sodas? And he was like, yeah, I could totally do that. And so it was that operating in success that you need to go. If you're sitting here looking at this mountain going, oh my gosh, I can't do that. That's everything. I can't do all the things. Don't do all the things. Do one thing. Do one thing right now. What can you do right now? And that's it. That's it. Just start.
Yes. And I mean, I think it's important for people to know that they can just take a step, take the next, right step or best step.
Yeah.
They don't have to. And I think that's the kind of danger, because yeah, we are influencers and we are trying to motivate people with our stories and our advice, and our tips and all this stuff. But I think a lot of times people get too much information and they see someone doing this and someone doing that, and oh, this is good and this is bad. So I need to do all that, right?
Mhm.
And there can be a danger in too much information and trying to do all the things that your favorite influencer is doing, right?
Absolutely. And your journey is different than their journey. Your favorite influencer probably wasn't drinking 9 diet sodas a day for 30 years.
Yeah.
And so for you to go, okay, I'm going to do this on one day, stop.
Yeah.
Your body is screaming at you going, what? He's trying to kill us, you know? So you gotta take it gradual. And like I said, have that accountability, because
Mhm.
you could gradually stay at 9 diet sodas for the rest of your life. You need somebody who's going to be witnessing you and say, oh my gosh, you just did a whole week of 8 diet sodas a day. I'm so proud of you. I bet you could do 7. You want to try it? You got to have somebody to watch you.
Well, yeah, I think that's really important for people, to take note too, is like, having a coach. And that's what you are, and that's what I am. It's just having a coach is just somebody that we have in our back pocket, that we have. It's not someone to tell us what to do.
Mm.
No, it's someone to help us and guide us, along the way. And then if you don't have, if you can't afford a coach, you can always, grab a friend who's maybe going through the same thing.
Yeah, or come to the free meeting, the
Mhm.
free Saturday food support group. Raise your hand, say, hey, I'm Joe, and next week I'm going to try and have 8 diet sodas a day. Okay, Joe, awesome. Can't wait to hear next week.
Yes, I think that is the best thing. Yeah, because it's free,
Yeah.
and you can't beat free, and you can't beat free friends, free support, and connection is always the best.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Um,
fun.
well, and I wanted to go into a little bit of your experience with raw, because actually I was just talking to Carnivore Camaraderie Joey
Oh, he's the best. I love that
yesterday,
guy.
and we even talked a little bit about you because he said he eats raw, and I was like, oh yeah, I think my friend Emily does too. So what has been your evolution with that? Because
Yeah.
I don't think you started out raw, right?
No, I ate cooked for the whole first year. So I resolved the bipolar disorder, I resolved the MS, all eating cooked. That was not necessary. And it was also a very organic, gradual progression for me. I just wanted my steak cooked more and more rare.
Mhm.
And then I discovered on Instagram the Keto Apocalypse, and he was eating his meat raw. And it's like he gave me permission, like was
Oh,
just like, okay, like you can do this. Like he didn't like say, Emily, you can do this, but him just posting, I was just like, huh, I want to try that. And my whole thing is I say, do not eat raw out of the grocery store. If you're going
uh-huh.
to eat raw, eat from the farm, a local farm that you can like put boots on the ground and you can like shake the farmer's hand. You can see the cows, you can smell the grass. Make sure that you know where it's coming from,
Yeah.
not a feedlot.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, if you go to emilypenton.com, there's an eat raw meat cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And that's free. You can go get that because I really break down how you need to do this if you want to do this. I have found that the people who who start doing this have this like desire, like they
Mhm.
want to do this, not people who are like, okay, I'm gonna white knuckle this and I'm gonna, you know, tough through this. And no, don't do that. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't literally my spirit driving me to do this. And it came out of pure laziness. I was just like, you know what? This way of eating is so easy. I wonder if I didn't have to cook it. And I realized that I don't have to cook it and I digest it so much better, so much better. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, and I know that the longer that I've been eating carnivore and meat-based, I started to crave raw. I started to, even with, a lot of people don't like beef liver. It's an acquired taste. But I found when I first started to try beef liver, yeah, I cooked it in like onions and then I took the onions away. And I was like, well, I don't need that. And I figured out that I started to like that more raw because I didn't like the texture. It was very hard to digest, actually, the more cooked it was. So I started to sear it, and then I just had it raw, and I love the flavor, and I had so much energy, from that. And then I did the same thing with salmon. Actually, I just had it yesterday. I had some salmon belly raw.
I love it.
And but I think you got to kind of figure out what works for you, of course. But I just noticed I had so much more energy when it is raw, you know.
Mhm. And the cooked meat now just kind of like sits in my stomach and it just kind of feels like greasy. And when I eat, the same amount of raw meat and raw fat, it's just like, dun, 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 like I'm just ready for my day. I don't feel
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, I gotta go take a nap, like I just feel better.
Yeah. And I wonder what it is about like cooking it, because it's
I
something that
don't,
I haven't really ran across a study or anything. There's just a lot of people that say, oh, some people will say like the cooked is better because it's already been partly broken down. But I don't know. I think it kind of changes the structure of it. And I think it does take away some of the vitamins, in my opinion.
yeah. And I wonder if we're able to absorb more with it being raw. I don't know. I don't even pretend to understand the science of it all. I just know
Yeah.
that my body's telling me eat it raw.
Yes. Yes. And I know sometimes I will, if I don't think the quality is as good, or if it's not as fresh, of course, I'll cook it. Um, but I make sure I get mine from a local butcher. I have a local butcher here. There's a lot of regenerative farms. And so, yeah, the
Perfect.
quality that has to be spot on, you know. You don't want to get sick.
No, and I haven't. I know that there are some people who have, gotten sick. But I've been eating this way for 3 years. I've been eating raw every single day for 3 years.
Wow.
And um I just had a GI map test because
Oh.
I've heard people say that you have a worms or whatever. And
Oh.
I'm just like, no. So I went ahead and tested and I have zero worms and zero.
Yes, I think that's one thing I had heard is like, oh, you probably have parasites or worms or
Yeah.
um, and so that's the next step for me is I want to get a GI map too. I need to do that.
Well, it's like $550. It's not
Yeah,
cheap.
that's the thing with all these tests is there's so many tests that we can get, but they are so expensive, especially when you go down the GI or the parasite or the mold or the
Yeah.
yeah. And I've looked into a lot of them and they're at least two, three, five, like you said, $500. Um, so if you have the money,
Yeah.
but yeah, but I just, I think some of us really have a hard time absorbing nutrients. And I know I'm one
Mhm.
of those and you're one of those people. And so we have to find ways that we can maximize what we're eating,
Yeah.
you know. And so and you've coached a lot of people, and you have interviewed a lot of people on your YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And, what do you think is the biggest impactful person that you've helped? I know there's been a lot.
Um, I think for me, it always comes down to this one story of there was a lady who I worked with, and she remembers being 7 years old, and she can look back at this one picture of her when she's 7, and the shirt that she's wearing. She remembers how uncomfortable she felt in her own skin. And there wasn't anything like wrong with the shirt. She just remembers feeling the shirt and just constantly having that anxiety of her skin crawling since she was 7. She vividly remembers this. And so then she worked with me for I think she worked with me for a couple of months at that point. And she messaged me, sent me an email, and she was like, Emily, she said, we were driving. My husband was driving. I was in the passenger seat. He put his hand on my leg and I didn't want to push it off. I let his hand stay there on my leg. And I was just like, that was such a simple thing, but it was huge to her. It was huge. Her skin wasn't crawling. She was grateful to just have that touch from her husband. And then they went on a hike with their son that day, and they were laughing and talking. And she said, I didn't have any anxiety. Normally she would like look at the map and how long is this going to take us? And when are we going to be done? And do we need to go to the bathroom here? Is there, do we need to make sure that there's water on the trail? Like just this like overwhelming anxiety. She just went on the hike and she enjoyed her company with her husband. She enjoyed her company with her son. She enjoyed the views, and she didn't think about anything else except for the joy that she was experiencing. And she was just like, I'm a different person. And the cool part is I still talk to her and it stuck. I mean, she still is that person, and experiencing that freedom of life. She never went back to that way of life before.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh.
It's everything. It's everything. And it's simple. It's not like she hired me so that her husband could put his hand on her leg.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
you don't even know that experience is to feel good when you felt bad for so long.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. They don't realize how they're being affected on a daily basis with, just their loved ones, or, even their kids, like how you interact with your children. Sometimes it's not the situation that's coming up. It's like what you're dealing with. And that's what I learned is was snapping at my husband, my son, at times because had all these things I was dealing with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. Like, is your family reacting that way because you came out of the room with just like you
Mhm.
know, or would it have been a completely different day if you were just like, good morning, can I make you some eggs? Like,
Yes.
who knows what would have gone through that day, if you had been in a different place.
Well, yeah. And, just finding joy in the little things each day, has, really helped me. And that sounds like a lot of people say, oh yeah, that's easy for you to say, right? But you do have to search for it. It's not like I wake up and every day and it's like, la, 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 I'm on clouds and rainbows.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have, for me personally, I know you do too. We have these rituals that we do in the morning that help
Mm-hmm.
set us up. We ground, we look at the sun, we, meditate or do our devotions. Um, and that really helps. I notice like if I don't do those things, I don't have as good of a day.
No, it's foundational. And it turned from at first just being like okay, I need to do this. I know this is better for me, to now it's like, I get to do this.
Mhm.
Like, I'm so happy that like I get this protection of the start of my day. Like, I know that nobody and nothing is going to mess with me once I start my day like this. And I'm on the right foot and I'm ready to go.
Yes. I love it. And I know that you had a little workshop that you did a little while ago with your friend Amy.
Yes.
And I was really shocked. I honestly, I was shocked about how many people came to this workshop and how many people just in the carnivore space, or even, just ketovore space, how many people really were struggling and needed your just a different viewpoint.
Hmm.
Um, and is that something that you're still practicing? Um, kind of maybe you can explain it.
You mean the looking at my blood glucose and my
Yeah, just kind
ketones?
of being more mindful of our blood glucose, how much protein we're eating. I think a lot of times, like I was, under the impression, oh, it doesn't matter. Like my blood glucose is super high in the morning, but that's okay. Because I'm told it's okay, but yet I'm having all these symptoms and I'm not feeling my best.
Yeah. For me at first, it was just like taking data. It was just like gathering information. And then I started seeing patterns
Mhm.
of, ooh, I don't feel well whenever my ketones are low and my blood glucose is skyrocketed. I don't feel well. I'm not as mentally clear. And then on the days where I did have a moderate blood glucose and higher ketones, I was just like, ooh, I am on fire today. Like, I am just like rocking this and I feel incredible. And I didn't require a nap today, And so I see that it's important. And I see that it's something that I want to look at. But I do have to say that there are some people who took it as a new obsession.
Yes, I saw
And
that. I did see that.
that scared me. That
Hmm.
scared me. And Amy and I have done everything we can to be very vocal about don't make this your new eating disorder. Don't make this your new obsession with the scale, with the numbers. With every tool, you have to use it as a tool, not as a holy grail like thing that you are worshiping. And to allow yourself for that grace. So I would say I test myself now every other day, something like that.
Yeah, and I think it's good, to go through a little period. Like I did the same thing. I was testing and then I was kind of moving my macros a little bit and testing and to see, you got to figure out what's going to work, you know, because we do need protein. We shouldn't fear protein. But we need to we won't know until we experiment, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so my takeaway was that I can't overeat on protein and that I need more fat. So now
Yeah.
I've been eating, I can eat butter every day. That works for me, or I get trimmings of fat from my butcher. Um, and that's something I did in the beginning when I started carnivore, and I kind of forgot about, I kind of like, oh, I forget about the fat.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that, but I did see a lot of people obsessed and say, oh, protein's bad. No,
Mm-hmm.
protein's not bad. You need protein.
No, I had one person ask me, and Amy, okay, if protein's bad, so I should just only eat fat and never eat protein. And I'm like, why the extreme? It's like people go from one end of the pendulum to the other. And I'm like, no, you need protein. We're not saying protein is bad. We're just saying, look at this.
Yeah, it's just, and I think people got to figure out what's going to work for them, different things. But I do think I see that a lot. It seems really prominent in the carnivore space,
Yeah.
where people take this idea, salt, like with salt. We need all the salt. Oh, we're not feeling so good. So maybe we don't need any salt.
Yeah.
but it's just not true. Like you need what I figured out is I need something different every day. My body tells me, oh, today I need some salt. Tomorrow I don't need any. I don't
Hmm.
want any. I need fat. I need more protein today. I need to fast. I need a bath. I mean,
Yeah. I
you
need
know,
electrolytes.
yeah. And so once we can get good at listening to the voice that you talk about, the inner clarity, I think that helps. And then just experimenting. And I
Yes.
see the same thing with fasting with people, because I know I've done, a fasting program, and I did the program and I felt really great. But I'm not fasting every day. But when I feel like I need to fast, my body tells me, like, I'm
Hmm.
like, my body says, you're not eating today. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yep. And
Um,
that's what you have to really, like I said before, you have to get into that practice of knowing your voice, knowing what is you, and recognizing whenever your body says, hey, Rosa, let's not eat today. Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. It's that
yeah.
easy.
I mean, I think I think programs can be helpful in the beginning to help people get a guide, to try. Oh, I have this to try, like a tool,
Hmm.
in our toolbox. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people they want something to follow, and they think they have to follow it like every day, you know. Um, but that's not, I think it can be dangerous to just follow something every day religiously and think you need to do that every day.
Or even to follow another person, because my spirit is telling me what to do for me. Your spirit is telling you what to do for you. And so that's why we got to listen to our own inner clarity, when it would be so unethical of me to sit there and say, I did this on day 1 and day 2 and day 3 and day 4. And so you need to do this on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. No, everybody is on a different journey. Everybody has a different body. And everybody has a different path.
Yes, I so agree. And I know you have to go, so I want go ahead and leave us with your best thoughts, your final thoughts, um, and where people could find you. And I know you just recently changed your name. Um, and so yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was Carnivore Minds on Instagram, and I changed it to Inner Clarity System, because I was finding that I was having clients that I was helping with their mental illness or their autoimmune disease, and they were like, "Yeah, but I'm not carnivore," and I'm like, "Carnivore is not the goal. Carnivore is a tool." It's okay if your body is telling you to eat broccoli, or your body is telling you to eat an avocado, or whatever. It's not about being carnivore. Carnivore is just what I use. That was my tool. And so I wanted them to feel welcome, not to feel like that they were below standard if they weren't carnivore.
Mhm.
And so I made it more inclusive by saying it's just Inner Clarity System. And then people can find me very easily by going to emilypenton.com, and then all of the things are listed there. And what I really want people to remember is that there is a specific reason why you are having the struggles that you're having. And if you are still not where you want to be, that's just your guide saying, go here, go there. It's pushing you. If honestly, whenever you do have that discomfort, that is a welcome signal that there's more. There is more healing. There is more wholeness. There is more health that is on the way for you. You just got to follow that guide, that inner knowing, that inner clarity, just to go to the next right step.
I love it. Yes, I love it, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me again.
Yes.
I love you so much. And I hope that you have a great day.
I love you too. Thanks, Rosa.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.